You start with so much energy. That is the confusing part. For one day, maybe 2 days, everything feels possible. You clean your room, you open the notebook, you download the app, you make the plan. You tell yourself, this time I am serious. And for a moment, you really are. Your brain feels bright, your future feels close. Even your old problems seem smaller, like they have finally become afraid of you. Then something happens, not a disaster, not a huge failure, just life. You wake up tired. Work takes longer than expected. Someone messages you, your mood changes. The plan suddenly feels heavy, and the same goal that felt exciting yesterday now feels like carrying a couch up the stairs. So you stop, not forever, you tell yourself, just today. Then today becomes tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. And one day you look at the thing you were so excited about and feel that quiet, painful question. Why can't I stay motivated? Bento finds this very strange. Humans can imagine a better life so clearly that their whole body lights up. Then, a few days later, the same human looks at that better life and says, actually, I am tired. From the outside, it looks like motivation died. But maybe motivation was never built to stay alive forever. Maybe motivation is not a battery. Maybe it is a spark. A spark is useful. A spark can start a fire. But if you sit there staring at the spark and expect it to cook dinner, warm the house, and survive the rain, you will be disappointed. Motivation is the beginning of movement. It is not the system that keeps movement going, and this is where many humans blame themselves unfairly. They think, I lost motivation, so I must not care enough. But losing motivation does not always mean you do not care. Sometimes it means your brain has finished the exciting part and is now facing the expensive part. Because starting is exciting. Starting gives the brain a story. A new version of you appears in your mind. The healthier you, the calmer you, the richer you, the focused you. The person who wakes up early, drinks water, answers emails, exercises, saves money, and somehow has clean laundry. That version feels amazing. It is like watching a movie trailer for your future. Fast music, beautiful lighting, big emotional speech. But then the movie starts, and the first scene is you alone, doing something boring for 20 minutes, no music, no applause, no dramatic transformation, just repetition. And the brain says, wait, this is the movie? That is one reason motivation dies. Motivation loves the idea of change. But change is mostly made of ordinary moments. It is not one giant heroic decision. It is many small decisions that do not feel heroic at all. Brushing your teeth is not exciting. Paying one bill is not exciting. Doing 10 minutes of practice is not exciting. Cooking instead of ordering food is not exciting. But these are the bricks. And the brain does not always respect bricks. The brain likes fireworks, right? This is why you can feel motivated while imagining the goal, but strangely empty when it is time to do the work. The imagination gives reward immediately. The work gives reward later. And the human brain has a deep weakness for now. Now is loud. Later is quiet. Now says rest. Later says you will be proud. Now says just scroll for 5 minutes. Later says please build the life we keep talking about. Now is standing right in front of you with snacks. Later is sending polite emails from another country. So when motivation fades, now often wins. Not because you are weak, because your brain is designed to protect energy. Bento notices that humans treat their brains like lazy employees, but the brain is more like a careful accountant. It is always asking, how much energy will this cost? How soon do we get a reward? Is this safe? Can we avoid pain? When a goal is new, the brain sees reward everywhere. New plan, new identity, new hope. It gives you energy because the goal feels shiny. But after a while, the shininess wears off. Now the brain sees cost. This takes time. This requires effort. This might fail. This might make me feel stupid. This might not work fast enough. So the brain starts negotiating. Maybe later, maybe tomorrow, maybe after life calms down, maybe when I feel ready again. And that sounds reasonable, very reasonable. That is the dangerous part. Most goals do not end with a dramatic decision to quit. They end quietly. They end under a soft blanket of reasonable excuses. You had a hard day. You deserve a break. You can restart Monday. You need the perfect plan first. You should wait until you feel inspired. And sometimes those things are true. You do need rest. You are allowed to be tired. You are not a machine, even though Bento is personally unsure why humans keep trying to act like one. But there is a difference between real rest and escape. Real rest gives energy back. Escape only hides the bill. Escape feels good for a moment, then leaves you with the same problem, plus guilt. And guilt is heavy. Guilt makes the next attempt harder. Because now you are not only starting the goal, you are also carrying the memory of all the times you stopped. This is another hidden reason this motivation dies. Every failed attempt becomes evidence in your mind. You try to change, and a quiet voice says, we have seen this before. You open the notebook, and the voice says, I remember the last notebook. You make a plan, and the voice says, cute. How long will this one last? That voice can sound sarcastic, but underneath it is often fear. The brain does not like pain, and failing at something you care about is painful. So sometimes, the brain kills motivation early to protect you from disappointment later. It is like a smoke alarm that goes off before there is fire. You want to start exercising, but the brain remembers embarrassment. You want to post your work, but the brain remembers judgment. You want to learn something new, but the brain remembers feeling behind. So it says, maybe do not try too hard. Because if you do not try too hard, failure hurts less. That is sad. But it is also human. Sometimes laziness is not laziness. Sometimes it is fear wearing comfortable clothes, and sometimes motivation dies because the goal was built on self-hate. This is very common. A person feels bad about themselves, so they decide to change. They say, I am disgusting, so I need to get fit. I am a mess, so I need to fix my life. I am behind, so I need to work harder. I am not enough, so I need to become someone else. At first, shame can create energy. It is like using panic as fuel. It burns hot, but it burns dirty. You can run from shame for a while, but eventually you get tired because the goal does not feel like care. It feels like punishment. And humans do not stay loyal to punishment forever. You might force yourself for a few days. You might push through with anger. You might tell yourself cruel things and call it discipline. But sooner or later, some part of you rebels. It says, I do not want to live inside a project that hates me. So the motivation disappears, not because the goal was wrong, but because the relationship with the goal was painful. This is why two people can do the same habit and feel completely different. One person goes for a walk because they are caring for their body. Another person goes for a walk because they are angry at their body. Same walk, different emotional weather. One is easier to return to. The other becomes something to avoid. Motivation lasts longer when the goal feels like support, not a courtroom. This does not mean every day will feel gentle and beautiful. No, some days the habit will feel annoying. Some days you will not want to do it. Some days Bento would scan your energy levels and quietly recommend turning yourself off and back on again. But the deeper question is not, am I excited today? The better question is, can I make this small enough to continue? Because most people build goals that are too big for their real life. They plan for the imaginary version of themselves, the version with perfect sleep, perfect mood, perfect schedule, perfect confidence, perfect snacks. But the real version of you has bills, stress, family, work, emotions, distractions, and a phone that contains every possible escape in human history. So when your plan requires a perfect you, the plan will break. Not because you are broken, because the plan was designed for a fictional character. A good plan respects the tired version of you. It asks, what can I still do on a bad day? Not your best day, not your movie trailer day. A normal, messy, slightly annoyed Tuesday. If your goal only works when life is calm, it is not a system. It is a wish, and wishes are beautiful, but they do not carry groceries. So what actually helps? First, stop expecting motivation to stay. This sounds negative, but it is freeing. You do not need motivation every day. You need a path that still exists when motivation leaves. Like lights on the floor during a dark airplane emergency. Small, clear, easy to follow when your brain is not feeling heroic. Instead of, I will change my whole life, try, I will do 5 minutes. 5 minutes of cleaning, 5 minutes of writing, 5 minutes of walking, 5 minutes of studying. The brain may resist a mountain, but it can accept a step. And once you start, something interesting happens. Action can create motivation after the fact. Not always, but often. You do not wait for the feeling to begin. You begin, and the feeling sometimes catches up, like a sleepy dog following you down the street. Second, make the habit less dramatic. Humans love turning every goal into a personality test. If you miss one day, suddenly means something about your entire soul. But missing one day is not a collapse. It is weather. A rainy day does not mean the sun is quit permanently. The danger is not missing once. The danger is turning one missed day into a story. I always fail. I never finish. I knew I couldn't do this. That story is heavier than the missed habit. So remember this, never let one bad day become your identity. Return small, return quietly. Return without a speech. Third, connect the goal to care instead of pressure. Ask yourself, what am I trying to protect? Maybe you are not exercising to become impressive. Maybe you are protecting your future energy. Maybe you are not saving money to be perfect. Maybe you are protecting your peace. Maybe you are not learning a skill to prove your worth. Maybe you are giving your future self more choices. Pressure says do this or you are a failure. Care says do this because you matter. The action may look the same, but the feeling underneath changes everything. And finally, make peace with boredom. This may be the hardest part because a lot of growth is boring, not meaningless, boring. The plant does not grow faster because you stare at it dramatically. The savings account does not become huge overnight. The skill does not appear after 3 practice sessions. The mind does not heal because you had one good morning. Most good things are built quietly, and quiet progress is difficult in a world addicted to visible results. You want proof. You want signs. You want the feeling that it is working. But sometimes the proof comes late. For a while, you are just showing up, and that is where many people stop. They think nothing is happening. But something is happening. Your brain is learning that you return. Your identity is changing one small vote at a time. Your future is being built in a place too small for applause. Bento thinks this is one of the most beautiful and unfair things about humans. The moments that change you often do not feel special while they are happening. They feel ordinary. They feel repetitive. They feel too small to matter. But they do matter, because motivation is not the thing that makes you consistent. Consistency is what you build for the days when motivation is gone. So the next time your motivation dies, do not panic. Do not turn it into a funeral for your future. Just notice it. Say, the spark is gone today. Then look for the smallest next step. Not the perfect step, not the impressive step, the next honest step. Open the document. Put on the shoes. Wash one plate. Write one sentence. Take one breath before reaching for the phone. Tiny actions do not look powerful, but they are how humans teach the brain a new truth. I can continue without excitement. I can return without shame. I can move without becoming a different person first. Maybe motivation always dies because it was never meant to live forever. Maybe it visits to show you the door. Then discipline, kindness, and small systems have to help you walk through it. And maybe the goal is not to feel motivated all the time. Maybe the goal is to become someone who knows what to do when motivation leaves. Because it will leave. That is normal. But you can still stay. If this helped you understand yourself a little better, like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone whose battery might be running low too. Bento is still studying humans, and there is a lot more to understand.